talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about, if you're all right with it, whether you want to talk more personal examples or more general. I'll let you take the lead.
Sure.
But let's say if we're talking about someone who's just graduating high school or in their final year of high school and they're not really sure what they want to study.
Hmm.
What first of all, we can talk about, and I know we've talked about this personally, but to any of the listeners, it might be interesting to know, why did you choose to go into psychology as opposed to sociology or engineering or something else?
Okay. I would say the greatest tip I have right off the bat is to say, don't be afraid to take time off right after high school. Um, I was 23 when I went back, and I have friends that are contemplating going back at 28, 32. We have a friend in there who's in his 40s. Um, I think the most important thing is you do need to have a good foundation down for it. You it's it's a good idea to go in with a general interest. You are interested in the field. Do some research first before you jump in there, because it is it is quite financially draining. It's even emotionally, physically, mentally draining. So you do want to make sure you have that foundation built up. And in order to do that, it is a good idea to take a gap year, take 2, 3. I mean, I took 5 years. I jumped into engineering right out of high school, and it wasn't for me. I didn't have that foundation. I crashed and burned. And I took 4 years again to learn to cook, to just develop some life skills, get out there in the world, work a little bit.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brandon. How long were you in engineering before you backed out?
Oh, 2 months.
2 months? Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Was
Yeah, I
there
didn't make
any?
it long.
Oh, no, no. Actually, I don't want to say it's a good thing with respects to how some people are like, oh, I don't really like it, but I'm already in. I guess I'm locked in now. I have to do this for 4 years. Was
Yeah.
there any part of you that said, oh, well, you know what? I already paid for tuition. I might as well just get a degree in this, or were you like, no, like this is clearly not for me, or this time is not right for me?
So the point, I dropped out on the day that was the deadline to get half my money back.
Oh, gotcha. Good,
And
good.
when I dropped out, it was a hard decision, but when I did it, it was just a flood of relief. And that was my signal that I was not ready for what I was doing. Um, and again, everybody's different, but I was definitely not on my own. There is a large percentage of students that
One
do drop out
hundred
during the
percent, man.
first
Oh yeah.
couple years of university. And just for comparison, at that time, I felt like I was, am I just not intelligent enough for this? What was it? I was blaming a lot of other things that just weren't true. And I just needed time to, again, build that foundation, because now I've gone back. Now I'm doing a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and planning on honors, and very high chance that I'm going to achieve that. And so it had nothing to do with, intelligence. I don't subscribe to that whole general sort of intelligence thing. I mean, yeah, there is IQ, but one of the most important things is foundation, and I will stand by that.
I'm so happy you said that, Brandon. I think you can be such a good role model for anyone who doesn't continue schooling right
Yeah.
after high school. And I feel like one of the hardest things is it's not just for yourself, but I think the societal norm, right? Because in the back of your mind, a bachelor's supposed to be 4 years. I'm supposed to have it figured out, by the time I'm
Yeah.
18. X, Y, and Z, which are all, I mean, like, I don't want to say no one has it figured out, but it's not everybody, right? Like, to anyone listening to this, you're not alone. Or if you go into a program and you're like, what, I thought it was for me. I took a couple of classes. Turns out it's not. And I'm so happy that when you decide, what, it's not for me, that you remove yourself rather than, sticking through it because, my parents want me to, or because, it's the right thing to do, or because, because of different reasons. No, fortunately, I should say, I had a friend of mine who was doing an English degree. She's 3 years in. And then she tells me, Daniel, like, I really love sociology. Sociology is my passion. I'm like, well, why aren't you doing a soci degree? And she's like, well, I'm already 3 years in, it'd be a waste. And I didn't say too much because it wasn't my place. But anyways, I see her again 2, 3 months later, and she had left English and she started her sociology degree. And she was so much happier and more vibrant.
Yeah.
And I think it is so important that we really hone this message of like, hey, like it's totally okay to take a break if it's not
Yeah.
for you.
It's totally okay to take a break and to change. If there's that, you'll have that pull. You will know where the right place is. If you're currently pursuing a major that your heart's not in it, and uh, that's why I also recommend in your first few years, or even use those electives to explore
Mm-hmm,
other
mm-hmm.
fields, because you might end up finding your passion that way when you thought you were already in your passion when you were starting out. And I've seen lots of people make that switch to something else. Even after they've graduated, they'll get their degree in, say, psychology, and they'll realize that sociology has been their passion the whole time, and that's where they'll hop over to do their master's. And I definitely support that. So it can be useful to, if you're not sure what you want to do, but you know you want to go to post-secondary and the timing is right, take a lot of those introductory courses across a bunch of fields that interest you, because then you'll be able to narrow down exactly where you want to go. And another thing is, this could be seen controversial advice, but avoid what a lot of people say about certain fields, like, oh, there's no jobs in this, or, I wouldn't get that, doesn't pay a lot, or that sort of thing. If your heart's in it, there is always a way to make it work. And there's always a way to succeed with your passion, in my opinion. And a lot of people have told me that, psychology, the only way you're going to do well is to do master's, PhD, keep going. There's no jobs, and a lot of people graduate, undergraduate, and there's nothing there. And that's never stopped me. I've never taken that to mind at
Good.
all.
Good.
I'm confident that, I will be able to find something. And even if it involves moving, because I'm open to the unknown, that's a big thing as well. There's a lot of things I want to create in my life. And in order to do that, we often have to step out into the unknown. And that's where the magic happens, in my opinion. So you never know. It might look bleak. There might be no jobs in your hometown or wherever, wherever you are, and you have your degree, it's your passion. But then, an opportunity comes up to move overseas or move to a place you've never been, and it's scary, it's terrifying. But when you do it, you end up moving. You find an amazing friend group in your new place. You fall in love with wherever you've moved. You've met the person of your dreams. You get married or live together, and there's, and you never would have thought that would have been possible if you had listened to the advice that there was no jobs in that area. So follow your passion for sure.
I could not have said it better, my friend. I could not. I've definitely been in the same spot where I told a good friend of mine, they're like, "Hey, what class are you taking?" I was like, "Oh, psychology, philosophy, sociology." And they're like, "Daniel, like, save your money. Like, you're just throwing it in the garbage." So I was
Yeah,
like, "Thank you.
that's
Thank you for your opinion." Which is fair. They're
yeah,
entitled to their opinion, but it's like everyone's got their
absolutely.
own goals, right?